Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PA podcast. We are finally here. It's been in the making for a while. I have a special guest today, Ali Mohammadi, a good friend of mine, serial entrepreneur. I mean, you are a good friend, right?
Now I'm a good friend.
Well, I think you've always been a good friend.
But not best friend.
I mean, sure.
So I'm average friend.
No, you're a good friend.
Oh, good is below average.
Good is not below average. I think good is above average. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm going to check this later.
And it starts. There we go. I decided to start my podcast with a bang, and I knew of no one else better than our very own Ali Mohammadi. Thank you for coming today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on
On PA, the PA podcast. I mean, first, I guess, Vinay, we're going to have to even see if we can register it as the PA podcast, but we're going to try. This is episode 1 in the making now. How long have we been trying to do this, Ali? I think it's been at least 3-4 months, but it's better late than never, correct?
Yes. Well, I haven't been doing anything. It's on you.
It's not on me, okay? You canceled on me twice, I'll have you know.
I rescheduled. I didn't
right.
cancel.
Yeah,
and
well.
it was way above 1 week time frame, so it's not called cancellation. It's rescheduling.
I understand.
All right.
Ali.
Yes.
Ali is an entrepreneur. He has invested in real estate. He has some businesses. He has the comedy club. And it's actually funny. This morning, Vinay, who's our media guy, came in and he's like, dude, it's this guy. I'm like, yeah, he's a popular guy.
Yeah, I always get afraid when people recognize me from the comedy club.
Yeah, as
Because I don't know if they like me or they hate me.
Yeah, do you pick on a lot of people?
I do.
You do.
I made a lot of enemies.
I can see that.
Yeah, but I also made a lot of friends.
I'm sure you did,
Above average.
right? But are they above average friends?
Not good friends.
We don't want below average friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, good friends are above average, I'll have you know.
All right, well, that's your standard.
All right, fine. You want to be my best friend?
Sure.
All right, you're going to
What
be
do you
my
have
best
to
friend.
offer?
What do you have to offer?
A lot. You just
Look.
mentioned.
It's reciprocal,
Okay.
right? It goes both ways.
Yes, it's giver's gain.
I'm saying,
Right? You give and you gain.
right.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about yourself now,
Sure.
all right? I want to hear some Ali Mohammadi,
You want to hear some Ali
comedy.
Mohammadi?
I want to hear some comedy. I mean, that's the reason why we started with all this,
Really?
right? I mean, I know you do everything, right? But I want to see the comedic side of
Yeah,
Ali.
sure. Well, I'm your first guest.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so this is very important for me because it's my first experience.
And I would only have an above average friend as my first guest, I'll have you know.
Yeah, well, we should have maybe a round table with your friends and see who is above average and who's below. So we can figure out the friendship scale of this.
Well, I think that that would be an interesting round table, and it depends who we're adding to that table, too. Many of my friends are your friends,
Yes,
right?
I consider them above average.
As do I.
Yes. I don't know why we're talking about this. Okay.
You started it. I called you my good friend, and you just took it to a whole other level.
But it's really nice to be on on your podcast.
It's
Korea.
nice. It's nice to have you, Ali.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you want to hear? Tell me.
Listen, one of the reasons why I have you here,
Yeah.
you know, they say a jack of all trades is a master of none. I want to say that would be the exception, would be Ali Mohammadi, because I've seen what you've been able to portray. I've seen what you've been able to portray with regards to your businesses. You've got some. I mean, I don't know if you want to touch up on it, but real estate as well, which is something I know 1 or 2 things about.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one.
Yeah, well, 1, that's all. That's all I know. Maybe 3. I don't know. And you have the comedy club. And
Yes.
is there anything I don't know? Is there anything I don't know about my now best friend, Ali Mohammadi?
Well, there's a couple of businesses I can't discuss here, but
I see.
Yeah. But there's also the restaurant. I'm a co-owner of the Kotsan Barbecue.
That's
on
true.
Sources. Yeah.
How's that working for you?
It's working. You know what? It's a big challenge, I have to tell you. I mean, I've never been involved in a restaurant before, but I mean, I have good partners that are really on top of things. But, you know, every partner has a part that they have to play. But it's a whole different beast being part of the restaurant business.
What brought that on? What brought on you going into the restaurant business? You're like, well, this could be viable. Why? Why the restaurant?
Well, this particular restaurant, because it has a history, it has a name, it has a following. So I think That's probably the main reason. If it was a new restaurant just starting up, I would have definitely said no, because what are the odds of succeeding with a restaurant that's brand new?
I don't know.
It's probably like maybe within 3 years, only 30% survive. I think that's still the case.
Is that what it is?
Well, that's what it was before COVID. I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's 1 in 10 now. So.
I mean, post-COVID. And did you purchase this during COVID?
No, right before.
Right before COVID?
Yeah, like a year before. So we had a year to prep.
And was that a viable investment? I mean, I think that when COVID hit, a lot of people thought, oh, everything's going to start tanking. But I think the restaurant business started to do really well. I mean, for takeouts, right?
Well, we didn't know any of this, right? The first week that everything shut down and everything went down, we had no idea. I mean, it was the most scariest time, I think, for any business. Because that first week, we went from, let's say if we were at level 10 in terms of sales, we went to 1.
Oh, wow.
For that 1 week, because people were uncertain. I mean, they didn't know. I mean, is it going on paper? Is it on food? Is it walking? Is it knocking on the door? What is it? No one knew, right? And then pick up and take out, delivery, that kicked in. But I think a lot of restaurants didn't really change their ways, and those are the restaurants that probably went out of business. And if you changed the way you did business in the first couple of months of COVID, you probably survived. And if you were doing, obviously, delivery and pickup, that was a good part of your business, you still had to adapt to the changing
100%.
industry. Yeah.
I think all of us had to adapt. I think we're still adapting.
I know.
Right? I think that the aftermath of COVID, I mean, look, it's no longer what it was, obviously, but I think that a lot of us have adapted to new ways of doing things.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe it's, I should or should not say, but I think that it has impacted people in the way that they do their dealings, in the way that they communicate, in the way that, in their pleasantries.
Yeah, people are worse drivers now. I don't know if that has to do with COVID, but it's just crazy out there.
I was going to say something, but, I think it's probably better I don't say it.
Yeah, COVID. I got all of them. I collected every single variation, by the way.
Of?
Yes, COVID.
COVID?
Yeah.
See, I got COVID once.
Oh, really?
I got COVID one time.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and the kids got COVID 3 times. And how I was able to avoid that, I don't know, but it worked out.
Oh, look, I mean, I tested positive this morning. I'm still here.
Is that right?
So it's a normal thing now.
Well, it's no problem. Look, we're gonna quarantine for 14 days. I don't know if that's still a thing. Do you still need to quarantine?
We're 3 feet apart, so that's gonna help.
I'm saying.
I'll quarantine with you any day, Puria.
Any day.
All right.
It's okay. We'll have the wives and the kids, be together. And
Yeah,
you could pass by and we could continue shooting the marble. We're trying to keep this PG here.
Are we?
We're trying.
I know. It's so hard. It's so hard,
I am really trying to behave here.
And I'm trying to pull you in, but it's not working.
You're pulling me in, but this is the first podcast. We don't want to get canceled before starting.
I was canceled a long time ago, so I don't have anything to lose at this point. Look, we're Iranians. We were canceled from the first day we were born. So I think
that's a true story,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be Iranian.
Yeah. By the way, the restaurant I have is not an Iranian restaurant.
No, it's not. Maybe we should open a Persian restaurant.
I don't think so.
No?
No. You want to deal with more Persians?
Sure.
Okay. Have you dealt with our people?
Dude.
It's tough.
No, we have an appreciation for our people.
We do.
Okay, we do have an appreciation for our people. It's great. Look,
I mean,
a sizable amount of my business comes from Persians. I do appreciate what Persians have to offer, but every now and then you deal with a couple of challenges and you overcome it. But I think that's the case in any culture.
No, we're different.
Are we?
Yes.
I mean, we are different.
Have you?
Right? Now, we're not going to talk about why we're different, but we are different. But I have heard, generally speaking, dealing with your own people is always a challenge, depending on whatever race you come from. I'm born and raised here, right? So it's a different dynamic when I'm dealing with Persians, who have come in the last couple of years. And you know what? I have an appreciation for what they bring to the table because how I grew up or the culture that I've adopted from my parents is, I don't want to say different culture, but a different dynamic.
I was on a boat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You came on the
In
boat.
Farsi, we call it nafkesh.
Nafkish.
Yes, that's what I said. Naftkesh.
Ah, Naftkish. Okay. Isn't that like an oil boat?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that where you came from?
Yes.
Okay. I see.
So I basically, literally, came here on a boat.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's interesting. And you came straight to Montreal?
To Old Port, yeah.
Oh, very nice. How was the old port back then?
You know, I mean, you do know why it's called. You know where it becomes Old Port, right?
Tell me.
When it becomes Old Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like these train tracks that divide Old Port. It goes right inside, right in the edge of the Old Port.
Okay.
And then that train track determines the start of the Old Montreal section or the Old Port. I didn't know that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So the old port starts after the train track.
Yeah, exactly. So where the pier is, where all the activities are, where people are walking by the edge of the water, there's a train track.
Is that right?
So
well, I know the train track.
yes.
I just figured that whole area's
Old Port? No, it's Old Montreal. So de la Commune is actually Old Montreal. It's not Old Port.
all right, but right across the tracks.
Yeah, right across. So south of the tracks.
So
It's Old Port.
and when you landed there,
No, I actually came here to study. So I came here first class.
and what did you study? Tell me.
MIS,
MIS.
MIS. No, it was Management Information Systems. So it was computers and management. Basically, you would become a project manager
I see.
in the IT world.
Which would make sense because I know that you have global access. Is
Global
that-
Access Group.
Yeah.
Short GAG.
Short gag.
Yeah, that's what Global Access Group, GAG. I didn't know that. I came up with that. You know,
Well,
like
that
a
would
fun-
make a lot of sense.
Yeah, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, so it's an IT company. Started 22 years ago.
22 years ago.
That's right, when I was 25. And so we...
So now we know your age.
You do.
Yeah. There you go. I never asked, but now I know.
Well, I actually overestimated my age right now.
Is
I want to sound more mature
I hear you.
than my age.
As this is what we would want.
It is tough though.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's what web design, IT, anything that has to do with programming, web design.
And how are you able to fit all of this
Mm-hmm.
into your schedule? I mean, you have the restaurant, you have the comedy club, you have GAG.
Yes, global access, let's call it.
GAG.
Okay.
You got GAG.
Yes.
And you're Persian,
And I'm Persian.
right? That in and of itself is a feat.
Big time. It is a feat. Why not? Look, have you been... I want to talk about our people once again. I want to go back to that.
All right,
have you
let's
been
go
to
back.
Toronto? Have you been to a Costco in Richmond Hill?
I have not been to a Costco
Yeah, it's amazing.
in Richmond Hill, but I was at a Walmart.
Yes.
This was years ago. I was at a Walmart and I remember the whole dynamic was very different. I mean, it was in Richmond Hill as well.
Yes.
And I've never seen so many Persians,
Yeah.
right? Like in one place.
But it's not just about seeing them. It's about watching their interaction.
So this was what was interesting to me.
Yeah.
So we were walking around or whatever, and then suddenly on the PA, somebody comes and says, "Khanume," I don't know what at this point. Like I don't remember her last name.
Yeah.
Right? Bachatun injas aile panch. Right? Like, and this is going on. Well, never would that happen here. They would close it down.
Of course, because it's going to go against the language
I'm
laws.
saying. You can't have that here.
Everybody's Iranian there.
So that's what I'm saying. But that happens over here.
We're done.
I mean, you
Look.
know, our fellow CAC members would not be very happy.
Well, look, I had to change my name from Ali to Alain in order to comply with the bills that they're passing here.
I'm Pierre. How are you?
Alain.
All right. Pleasure.
Enchanté.
Enchanté. But that's actually, it's funny. So I have a couple of my French clients
Yes.
who have adopted this name for me.
Really?
It wasn't actually my choosing.
You're Pierre?
So they said, pour Ria, on peut pas vraiment prononcer ton nom, fait que on va t'appeler Pierre.
So Pouria, Pierre. Okay, that makes sense.
No problem.
Yeah, Ali, Alain.
Ali, Alain could work out too.
It could work out.
I'm gonna call you Alain from now on.
Alain.
Alain.
Last name I chose.
And what's your last name is what I want to know.
Michon. Hey, it's I'm complying.
Alain Michaud?
Yes,
All right.
Alain Michon. And I have a descriptor under my name.
You see, I have not converted my last name. I'll have you know.
Okay. Well, we can pick up a name for you now.
Yeah.
So, Ansari.
Ansari would go with what?
Arsenault.
Arsenault. Pierre Arsenault.
Pierre Arsenault, done.
Pierre Arsenault and Alain Michaud over here. What a podcast we've got going on over here today.
Look at it. We're going to get hired at Hydro-Quebec with that name.
100%. Hydro-Quebec would be very happy to have us.
Yeah, but not once they see us.
I mean, diversity and inclusion.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I'm just saying.
All the way.
We need diversity and inclusion right now.
But there was something I forgot to mention.
Tell me.
Yes. The Costco in Toronto.
Oh, yes. Sorry. We completely drifted away.
You should. But because I'm saying, our people are good bargainers,
Absolutely.
There was a gentleman in front of me in the line, and he was bargaining with the lady in Farsi because they were both Persians.
In the Costco.
In the Costco, right? In Costco, it's like, I saw this for $2.99. You sell here for $4.99. Why is it? You have to match the price. Well, he was talking in Farsi, though. I'm just saying in English so that.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, naturally, we'll want to extend that accent just to make sure that we're talking about someone else at the same time, right? Let me know it's our people, and we're allowed, I think, to do that.
We're allowed to do this
because it's our people.
I want discount. So Costco did not price match.
They did not.
No.
But you see, Walmart would.
Walmart would, yes.
Walmart would, and hence why you should go and shop at Walmart.
Okay.
Right?
I'll keep that in mind.
Right? I mean, unless you're buying in bulk.
Do you know that many, many years ago, I wanted to buy the domain name Alibaba.com?
No way.
I swear to God. My first Hotmail address was Alibaba5@hotmail.com because there were 4 other people that took the Alibabas.
You really dropped the ball on that
5
one, didn't
people,
you?
actually. And I was going to register the domain, but I thought it was too expensive at $100 per year.
Yeah.
I should have done it.
Yeah. A lot of, you know what, the should-haves and could-haves, a lot of that's going on right now.
I know, isn't it?
Right?
But it's all about the future, right? And maybe the moment now that we're experiencing.
Perhaps.
Like the PA podcast.
The PA podcast. I mean, I've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes.
But you know what? Something keeps coming up. And then, believe it or not, on camera, I sometimes get self-conscious. You got to be in the mood.
Yes.
You got to be in the mood to be on camera. And a lot of people don't actually understand this or believe this when I say it. I have a little bit of, I get camera shy. I do.
You get camera shy?
I get camera shy.
So you're shy 3 times now.
I'm telling you.
There's 3 cameras.
There's 3 cameras in front of us. I've got these lights on me, right?
You don't strike me as a person that would be camera shy.
I'm telling you, I am. It takes a little bit of time. Like even at the beginning today, before we started, the clap.
Look
Sorry
at that.
About that.
Yep.
Before we started that clap, it takes some getting used to. I mean, you've been on TV. You have hosted shows. You've hosted on that Persian.
Yes, Ava TV,
TV.
Which is part of Ici Television, and I had a show called the Ali John Show.
Ali John Show.
Yeah, it was a variety show, and it was actually fun. It was for the Persian community. It was in Farsi.
I had a lot of fun watching you do it, actually.
Yeah, it was fun. I stopped doing it at some point. It was overwhelming. It was a lot of work because I had to write and I had to produce. But it was a very good team at Ici Television that really helped. And
can I ask you why you stopped?
Because I did comedy a lot more. Because I shifted into the comedy club and comedy was taking a lot more of my time. I mean, I'm limited. I have to sleep at some point. And I decided to focus more on the comedy club, which we do every weekend now.
Is it every weekend?
Every weekend, yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So shifting back, because I really don't like to talk about COVID because I want to put that behind
exactly.
us. But shifting back to that time,
yes.
How hard was that on you not to be able to have those shows every week? Because I know that's a really important part of your life too, right?
It was. And we were closed for a total of 1 year.
Oh, wow.
When you put everything together, It was 1 year because I mean, in comedy, everyone's there laughing, no masks, because they said you can sit down and no mask, but then people are laughing. So I
Yeah.
mean, it was a pretty. But anyways, it was tough times. But what we have today, I value it a lot more.
Yeah.
Having gone through what we went through.
Yeah.
In that one, let's say a year and a half, that closure open, we were limited. So for me, it was obviously very difficult because I'm like I am an extrovert. I need to be
Yeah.
with public. I need to be. So I kept myself busy
Yeah.
doing different things. I wrote jokes. I did things. I made movies, not movies, like clips, for social.
Yeah.
And we did a few online comedy shows.
Yeah.
We actually did.
Yeah.
But it was the weirdest, the most awkward experience I had doing comedy shows.
Because
online.
I feel like you need a live. I feel like you need a live audience.
Yes.
Right?
We need a live audience. And we had with Zoom, we could actually see the people that were there, but just a couple of we did a Valentine's show, okay? It was, I think, February of 2021. We were closed, right? We were in quarantine, whatever. And then there was almost, I would say, probably 80, 90 people. And I would say probably 40, logged in, because there were two, there were some threes, there was a couple, there was individuals. And then one person in his home, he made a table, his girlfriend was with him, and he pretended that it was a restaurant, and he was serving her.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so amazing. And there was another,
That's cute.
because you could see all that. They can't see everything. We see all of it, all the views. And
Right.
one of the views, the couple were in bed watching the comedy show. They were in bed.
Yeah, but do they not see that you're seeing them?
Well, yes, but I guess they didn't mind. They were in
COVID
bed.
times.
And there was another one that looked like a hidden camera, because it was like a camera on the corner of a room.
Right.
And there were people coming in and out talking to each other. I couldn't hear them, but like, okay, what's going on in these? I mean, that by itself was comedy. Just watching the views.
So where are these comedy shows? And when are they?
Oh, okay. So, thank you. Good question.
Right? Like
So my
it's not because I don't want to. I'm asking because I want to come. And you know what? We're post COVID.
Yes. Oh,
COVID,
for sure. No
I'm
problem. Oh, yeah, no problem.
Right?
So Comedyville. Comedyville is the name of the club, name of the production company, comedyville.com. We do shows every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday at 8:30, Friday and Saturday at 9:11. But I don't tell it like that to the Americans because it doesn't sound good.
Oh,
So
wow.
9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, just to be sure they don't misunderstand an Iranian talking about the time.
You got to be very careful what you say these days.
Well, not on
honestly.
stage, though. We're
Yeah.
not careful. Anything
Yeah.
goes on stage.
Yeah.
Not anything, but we're pretty open. There's a limit. There's a red line, but we're open, basically.
Is there a red line in comedy?
Well, look.
Is there really, like, you hear things, and I think that the most, how am I going to say, captivating, quote unquote, jokes
Mhm.
are the ones that push the limit,
Yes.
right?
You can push the limit. That's not a problem.
How far?
But when you go beyond that limit, and it could be considered as, let's say, hate speech, or it's comedy is subjective. Okay,
Sure.
so you know how that is. And usually in shows that we produce and shows that I perform at, because I do a lot of crowd work, I host. So I do a lot of crowd work. I talk to people. I try to engage people. So I determine the red line by the energy I get from the audience.
Right.
Okay, so obviously you want to push the limit a little bit. But what if the audience is not ready for that limit, right? I mean, for example, Just for Laughs, they have the nasty show. So
Okay.
people that go there, they already have their limits way above the average. So they're ready. But it's being marketed that way. It's the nasty show. They know what's going to happen. So the show already set the limit. All right?
How insulted do people get when you pick on them?
It you know what? It depends.
And aren't you going to the sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
You know, if you're going to a comedy show, are you not expecting to be picked on in some capacity? Is that not a risk of going to a comedy show?
Well, there's different categories of people. There's some people that come for the very first time and they have no idea. They think it's like a play, theater. Everything's scripted. Nothing's going to happen. So they come, no idea. They sit in the front. And obviously you sit in the front. I have little signs made that says on the spot with the target. So that means you're going to be put on the spot and you're going to be the target of the show.
Oh.
So I have those around the stage. And some people actually come just for that. They like to sit in the front. And others like to sit further away and watch magic happens with people who sit in the front. I mean, once in a while we get some people that sort of sit there by mistake, and I realize that fast because I
Yeah.
can read body language. So as soon as I see that they're in a defensive mode, they're being uncomfortable, eyes moving around, they're picking up the water, drinking, I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't pick on this person because
Yeah.
they're very uncomfortable. But as soon as I get some feedback,
So
and
you care.
I do.
A lot of comedians don't.
No, they don't. But I do care because I follow certain laws when I do comedy and interact with people. And it's the laws of improvisation. It's not just, you can't just wing it. There's science behind it.
Of course.
So you want to hear the 3 laws?
Sure.
All right. So the first one is never make the other person look bad. Never.
Okay.
Do not make them look bad. Bring them into your story, bring them into your narrative, but do not put them down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's going to be awkward for them and it's going to create an awkward sense in the crowd. Say the first thing that comes to your mind as a comedian. I don't censor myself. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as soon as I have an idea in my mind, I say it, and people notice that. They love it. They enjoy it.
Yeah.
And number 3 is say yes to everything that's given to you by the audience. Never say no, because once you say no, you block. Once you block, it's awkward silence, and you have to move on to another section, which can be a transition into another topic or another thing. So if you, for example, if I ask somebody, hey, have you been to that restaurant? I say yes, and I had their signature dish. You see how I yes and
Yeah.
I don't block them.
It's interesting. It's interesting what you're saying. Like, never put the other person down. I have these discussions with agents, with agents I've trained and everything too, where it's the same dynamic in real estate. By the way, I think this is it's a human thing.
Yes.
When we're in negotiations, I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is that there is a winner and loser in any negotiation, but this is not the case. And never bring the other party down is probably the most important factor of any negotiation. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants a common goal. And without going into the commercial world, if we're going on the residential world, when you're having a discussion, an open dialogue with regards to one property, a buyer wants to buy that property and the seller wants to sell it. You have the same goal. How you're going to get to that goal is really important. And it's not by ruining what the property is as a buyer, because then the seller's like, well, why are you even here? And it's not by being staunch as a seller either, because, well, why are you selling? At the end of the day, there is a common place that we can meet. And it's been my experience that just that, never bringing the other person down, and in fact, actually engaging in respect, is probably the most important part of any negotiation. And actually, the most successful negotiations I've had have included that. So this whole concept of, oh, well, if you don't want it, I'm just going to walk away.
Yes.
Right? Like, screw you.
Yes.
It doesn't work. It doesn't help anything. And these things that we see on TV and these shows is all bullshit.
Oh.
Am I allowed to say that?
Bull
Yeah.
crap.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, bull crap. But, I mean, look, we're trying to be correct here. But have you not felt people are more sensitive? Are people not more sensitive to, I mean, can we talk about this? We can, right? Are people not more sensitive right now?
Yeah.
Comedy aside, just in general.
Yeah.
Comedy too. But do you feel people are a lot more sensitive than they were, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Oh, yes, absolutely. If they're coming to comedy with a group, or if they're coming with someone else, or maybe they're on a date and the date decided that they're coming to comedy, if they're not ready for comedy, yes, they are sensitive. There's some people that probably shouldn't attend a comedy show, in my opinion. But yes, I've realized that in the past maybe 10 years, because I started many years ago, 2007 approximately, that's when I started. It was a different game that, back in the days. But now, yes, you do have to be a little bit more considerate when you're doing things, especially, when you're dealing with the young generation.
Right.
Yes, the younger generation.
I mean, considerate. What does that mean? Because, like I said, I feel like a lot of again, how am I going to put this? I think that in general, a lot of things kind of blow up for no reason, right? And I don't know if that's because of our generation, or if we are insensitive, right? Or we've been through a generation that was perhaps less sensitive to certain things. but I do feel sometimes it gets excessive, and
Yes,
navigating that is very difficult. It takes a lot of mental bandwidth.
it does.
So doing that on a comedy show, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, at a comedy show, I still go with my rules. I say the first thing that comes in my mind. And people generally, when they come to the comedy show, the comedians and the audience members, they once they enter through that door, they have to leave whatever that they have in their real life outside that door, in my opinion. If you want to enjoy it, I mean, we come there to enjoy. I think it's probably the last stage for free speech, probably, because we can talk about anything we want. And good comedians, they do have a message in their jokes. It's not just about joking. Some comedians actually have a message in their routine, in the way they discuss things. That could be political, it could be social, it could be. That's why we have politicals from all sides, all genders, all which there's quite a few genders these days. But
Yes.
anyways, all genders, and so you started this.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I talked about sensitivity.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Right?
I
You
just said
decided
there
to be
are a lot of.
insensitive.
I just said there are a lot of other genders. That's basically what I just said.
Yeah,
That's
you're not
all.
wrong. You're
No,
not
I'm
wrong.
not wrong. There
You're
you
not
go.
wrong.
It's just hard to keep up because there's a new one added every week.
Every week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's look, navigating that, I feel as a parent is, I don't want to say challenging, but like it's interesting to have to navigate, right? Like, because you see a lot of this right now, and then your kids ask you questions, and look, we come from a different generation too,
Yes.
right? Plus a different culture,
Yes.
right? So again, I don't want to get too much into it, but it's true that there are certain things that, let's say, as a Persian, right, you'd be like, well, this is not something that I'm accustomed to, as an example. Now,
Mhm.
you're trying to stay very neutral grounds. You don't want to start, and then you're trying to educate your children,
Mhm.
and then you don't want to limit them or enable them or discourage them. But doing that in an environment and remaining neutral is very difficult.
It is difficult. I think as a parent, well, you're a parent, you know exactly how
Yes.
this is. I think as a parent, your responsibility is to educate your children so that they can make educated decisions
Sure.
in the future of their,
Sure.
in their lives.
Yes, it is our responsibility to educate our children.
Yeah.
It's also, I gotta say, like, to educate your children in, let's say, certain ways or certain values or certain, whatever the case may be. Doing that these days, you have to be very careful, because not because you don't agree with something or disagree with something, but more because you don't want to, again, maybe instill a certain ideology or belief or whatever the case is, because right now the world is very different from when we grew up,
Yes.
right? The world is very different. There's a lot more things that we've maybe been educated on to accept more or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of sensitivity that comes with that. And then there's a lot of, again, like brushing on things. I don't even want to get into it too much, but
Let's get into
Yeah.
it. The first and last PA part.
yeah, I'm saying.
Are we gonna go Joe Rogan, bro?
Oh God, we're not gonna go Joe
Okay,
Rogan,
fine.
but I gotta say that it does become telling, because sometimes you're trying to figure things out, and there may be things that I do agree and don't agree with. So trying to translate that to my children without creating anything, right?
Mhm.
Without creating any backlash, either from the schools or
Yeah.
friends that they have or whatever the case is. Like we want to maintain that level of respect and openness and whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
And then at the same time, we're trying to, and you know what, these kids too. Like I'm born and raised here, but like I've learned from my parents' culture. I've inherited that. I've inherited the Quebecois culture, being here as a West Islander. I've inherited the English Canadian culture too,
Oh my
right?
God.
The West Island culture,
Oh.
and I lived in the city for a while, and I've dealt in different segments with different types of people, with people of all shapes, races, genders.
I don't know what you're pointing at me for,
Right,
but
I'm just. You know, I mean, I'm not
I'm a he
translating
him.
myself
I'm
on
a he
anything.
him.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
saying, right? You are a he him.
Oh yes,
Okay, good.
I am a he him.
Not good because you have to be a he him.
No, but I am a he him.
I'm just saying. I am also a he him. I am.
You know, I think that's an interesting word, he him.
He him.
Yes.
It is an
Could it be a name?
He him?
Yeah, my name is he him.
Yeah, sure. Right? He him.
I'm not sure where we're going with that.
Yeah. But where were we with all this?
Talking the sensitivity that's out there.
Sensitivity,
and,
yes.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I always tell my friend that I'm from the fax machine culture and the smartphone culture at the same time. I mean,
Yes.
we both kind of are, no?
Yes.
To some extent.
Yes.
So we have a little bit of both, you know, we sort of experience.
Mm-hmm. Like we have an appreciation for things that take a little bit longer,
Exactly.
right? We have an appreciation to sit through a show, for instance. I mean,
Yes.
back in the day, we had the capacity to sit through a 30-minute show with commercials and wait 1 week for the next episode.
I know.
These days,
How did we do that?
I don't know. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. We survived.
Oh my God.
And you know, nowadays everything is so fast paced. It's go,
Yeah.
go, 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 go. Hence why I think all industries are shaping
Yeah.
in this way too, right? And real estate is no exception to that,
Mm-hmm.
because we see more and more people are going through the virtual tours, and they are, accepting or canceling properties through that. I have a theory that in the next couple of years, this whole business, this whole industry is going to shift completely. And as it stands right now, the industry has a 90 to 95% exodus a year. This year, I think, is one of the records of agents who have left the business.
Well, I mean, we have a downtime right now. Everybody entered through COVID thinking that it's going to continue with the boom.
Yeah,
right?
but too many people entered through COVID.
Yes, I know.
And what that creates is it creates a lot of stupidities, like without sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
A lot of bullshit. A lot of people who are coming in who don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
Now you have to navigate that.
Yeah.
You have to be able to navigate that because they're there. They're being chosen, right? And as a result of all that, we've had to kind of shift the way we do things too to accommodate everything that's happening. Now, again, then you have that exodus that has happened. People come into the business believing and thinking that real estate is what they see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, it's everything but,
Yes.
right? Like, to go through this whole process and people come into the business, they're like, we never thought this is what it is.
Yes.
It's not as easy as people think. It's not just coming in and, and just having fun and, showing off your car and taking selfies, and you know what I mean? Like, it's not, what's that show on Netflix?
What's up with the high-end cars?
You know what? There's a joke actually my mentor told me when I started.
Yes.
Real estate agents have the nicest cars and the shittiest houses, right? Like that's one of the things.
So the whole investment is shifted onto the car, right?
And I guess what it is first impression is last impression, right?
Yes.
And I think that, and you know what? I started in this business with a Honda Civic.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you. And you know what? I got some of my big listings with that Honda Civic. And I remember when I started, I would go, see, I've been a very no bullshit guy my whole life and my whole career.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go and try to sugarcoat things. I don't go and say, I'm this and I'm that and I can do this and I can do that. I really give people the scoop of what it is. Like, you want to be real with people. People can tell through bullshit.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you don't give people that benefit, it's almost insulting. People know, right? So, yeah, when I started, we're talking now, 12 years ago, right? I was 24.
Oh, now we know your age.
Yeah. So now you know exactly. So when I started with that Civic, and I would go around and I have my clients, and you know what? A lot of them were people in my circles too.
Yeah.
That's always what I kind of focused on. As you know, like, I'm a 100% word of mouth
Yes.
guy. Like in my career is completely focused on that. And it's the quality I give to my clients, and they continue giving me business, and I'm very thankful for that. And that's how I started, and that's how I continue it. I've never done marketing per se, though I do have a social media presence, but I've never done marketing.
Just a social media presence?
Sure.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
more than just a presence.
I mean, some type of presence.
Okay.
Right? But I mean, that's a platform. I mean, I use that platform
Yes.
as we're doing today with the PA podcast, the
That's
PA
right.
podcast.
Pa.
PA, right? PA. And so to get back to that, I went to the homes back then. I'm like, look, I'm new to the business. I haven't been in the business for 20 years. But I have a lot of time that I can dedicate to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm listing your home, I'm there for every visit, right? If I'm going with a buyer, I'm there for every visit. You know what I mean? And still to this day, honestly,
But you still are.
I am.
Even if
I am.
you're not driving a Honda Civic anymore, but you still are.
Yeah, I'm not driving a Honda Civic anymore. Look, but now, like the car that I have is one that's for me, very, very, very seriously. But I think that a lot of times that's the shift, like that you think you need to portray, because at the end of the day, it is first impression is last impression. Now, when I had a Honda Civic back then, I had to overcome that. That's the truth about it too.
Yes.
I think I was able to overcome that, but it's harder to overcome that. And it is what it is, right? Like, so do I think it's right or wrong? I don't know. I think things are shifting though. And I think that the way that real estate is shifting also will maybe have less of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the next generation is not going to purchase and sell real estate the way we are now.
Yes.
And things are going to change.
You think AI is going to sell real estate?
I think AI is going to be a very, very important focal point.
Oh, big time.
And I believe very sincerely. Now, I started this when I was 19. So I said 12 years ago because I started full-time 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I started in real estate at 19. I left for a couple of years to go pursue my studies. And I came back. And I was at the bank during that time for 4 years. All this to tell you that with that experience, I've been able to analyze what the market can do.
Yes.
And I say this all the time. I hate the message that a lot of real estate agents are putting out there, where it's like, well, now's the perfect time to buy. It's always the perfect time to buy.
Buy, of course.
Is there ever, real estate agents, is there ever not a perfect time to buy or sell? No, really. And I tell people this. We had a seminar here yesterday, and I was telling people there too. People don't want to hear the same shit over and over and over again.
Exactly.
They want to know what's up. Now, none of us have a crystal ball, but there are certain parameters that you could look at. Right now, the market is starting to take a turn. I mean, it has
already
taken a turn.
Yes.
Whether we're officially or not in a recession, we are in a recession,
Mm-hmm.
right? The markets are shifting. We need to be able to navigate that. Does it mean that it's always a bad time to buy or always a bad time to sell? No, it's circumstantial.
Well, if it all depends also why you're buying and why you're selling. And it depends whether, you're buying residential to live or you have investments that you want to buy or sell, right?
Well, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
And so there are people who say, well, I want to buy a home because I want to have that security. I want my kids to go to the public school in that sector. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pay for a private school, which is going to cost me X amount, blah, blah, blah. So look, sometimes when you're looking at that, you're like, okay, well, then maybe it does make sense, right? Maybe it does make sense for us to go forward with a purchase in that regard. Or somebody wants to sell, for the and I've had these conversations over the last month. Well, the rates are going up. We don't know if we want to deal with this, like we want to sell. Yeah, but what's your alternative? What's going to happen when you sell? Where are you going?
Exactly.
And if they say, well, we're just going to rent a house, well, you might pay just as much, if not more, for a rental. Maybe it's not the time to sell.
Yeah.
Right? So now, it's so case by case. But the truth is that we can't always be saying it's a good time to buy and always a good time to sell. The most cringeworthy quote Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. I hate that quote.
Yeah.
I hate that quote.
Yeah, really.
Right? Because, yeah, that applies to anything.
Yeah.
Don't wait to buy stocks. Buy stocks and wait.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Well, it all depends what your strategy is. Because I also love real estate, as you know.
You own
I'm
some real estate, right?
I do, and I love it, and I enjoy it. And, it's
You
something...
have to enjoy. As a Persian, I don't think you have a choice.
Now, as a Persian, it's a white Mercedes with a red interior and a few houses to brag about.
It's white BMW, no?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Well, this was really fulfilling. I really enjoyed being on your podcast.
Well,
Maria.
listen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for making it over here.
Look, we didn't get canceled.
The first
hopefully.
podcast, hopefully we don't get
No,
canceled.
hopefully.
I mean, we're going to post this and we're going to see where it goes. But it was fun. It was fun.
Sure was.
Thanks for breaking the ice with me. I appreciate it.
I think we melted the ice.
Yeah.
I didn't think we broke it.
I think, look, Vinay, I think we're going to have to re-edit this video. There are certain things we probably can't put out there. But look, it was a pleasure.
You know what I want to do now?
Tell me. All right.
Pow!
There you go.
Podcast.
Pow.
Pow. Is it pa? Pa.
Pa.
Oh, fine, pa.
The PA podcast. It's been a pleasure, everyone.
That's so
And
posh.
We're posh.
Posh.
Posh. And I'm looking forward to doing more of this. All right.
Goodbye.
Are we good, Vinay? We're good? Boom.